again. Let's try this over. We're at day 4 of 5 of the losing weight while eating carbs. So as you jump on, I would love for you to say hello. Let me know you're here and where you're tuning in from. I would love to see how everybody is doing and what are some big takeaways that you've had so far from the training. Is there some things that you were surprised about maybe on day 2 when we talked about what really is a carb? And what is your thoughts now in regards to having carbs as an energy source? And which types of carbs are you going to stick with the most? So let me know. We're going to get started in here and dive in, tagging a few people that wanted to join so they know we're on. So last few days, again, we talked about, are carbs really that are evil or are they a good energy source? What is a carb? What classifies as a carbohydrate? And do the type of carbs that you eat, do they affect your weight loss? So as we learned, they do, right? There's definitely triggers. So today we're going to talk about what happens when your energy output doesn't match your carb intake. So do you gain weight? Do you not? So let's dive in and talk a little bit about it. So if you're catching this on replay as well, ladies, I'm going to put hashtag replay on there for me. And again, as always, if you have questions, drop them in the comments, and I will come back to those later, because if I watch those comments, sometimes I get distracted and I go off on tangents. So I got my notes here to keep me on track so you guys get as much value as possible today. So let's dive in about, when you're eating carbs, are they the culprit of you gaining weight? So, eating pizza, right? Having a few glasses of wine and vegging, on the weekends can't be that bad, right? So weekends are meant to relax and enjoy our favorite things, right? So of course they are. And they're meant for relaxing and enjoying. But if your carb intake doesn't match your energy output, right? Houston, we have a problem. So what's the solution? So let's talk about it. And I want to share a story about when I had found myself gaining weight. So as a kid, I was always pretty active like most kids. And I loved being outside, riding my bike, swimming, playing in the river, and horsing around. So I was always moving. I loved moving. For those of you who really know me, it's probably not so far, right? You know it. So even into my teens and early 20s, I would say I was pretty active. It wasn't until I moved in with my future husband at the time. And it was like overnight I had gone up the whole pant size. And I was like, what the heck? How did this happen? And so I paid more attention, to what I was eating and started lifting weights. And I was back down to my previous pant size in a few weeks. So now, did I really gain a whole pant size overnight? No, right? It was gradual. So those small cheats that I had done consistently with my food and less energy that I was expending or movement, it was what was the culprit of me gaining weight over time, right? So things done consistently, whether it's a good thing or not so good thing, is going to either give you that result you're looking for or keep you from getting that result. So this leads me into our topic for today. Do carbs really make you gain weight? So let's go into it. So we'll talk about energy input and output. Basically, food you put in, energy, and what you expend, energy. So calories in and calories out, right? You hear a lot about that. So, if you're taking in less calories and burning more, then you should be losing weight. Yes, that is the simple way of looking at it. So you want to be in a calorie deficit, whether that's from your food intake or your amount of movement or exercise that you're doing a day. And that being done, say 500 calorie deficit over 7 days would yield you 1 pound off the scale, so to speak. So again, that's a simple way of looking at it, but it gets more complex than that. As many of you probably know, sometimes, especially if you're going, again, on this weight loss journey, your scale might remain the same, but your clothes fit better. You have more energy. Your body composition has changed. So the scale, again, is not something we necessarily want to use as a measuring tool, but what we're taking into our body and how much movement we're doing, we do want to track. So types of energy. So when you are trying to expend more energy, so that way you have a calorie deficit, be mindful of the type of energy you're expending. Are you doing a lot of steady state cardio? Okay, it has a place for everything, but steady state is not going to yield you as high of a result in losing or burning calories as if you did, say, HIIT or high intensity interval training. That doesn't mean it has to be high impact. This just means you have a very high output of energy for your work phase, and then a lower intensity for your recovery phase. And you repeat that cycle to get you a higher calorie expenditure, not just for that portion of time you're working out, but throughout your whole day. Studies show that between 4 to 24 hours additional time that you can be burning extra calories from higher intensity interval training. Another type of modality you can use is weight training or strength training. It takes more energy to lift weight or do body weight exercises. Therefore, it's more thermogenic, and it's going to increase your metabolism and keep it burning because it takes more for your body to contract and extend muscle. Okay, so that's a benefit. And then what could maybe take away from that, right? So then we have, if you have a sedentary job, if you're sitting like I am in a chair right now for most of your day, or you're doing a lot of data input and your business requires you to be on the computer often, right? You become more sedentary. So therefore, the effects that you've done throughout your day get thrown off because now you're seated, you are in a steady state, so to speak, and your heart rate is just regulated. Therefore, you're not expending any energy. Your metabolism has been reduced as well. So desk jobs, maybe your movement has slowed down over the last few months. So just being mindful of that. If you are not having as much movement, you are going to have to watch more of the carbohydrate intake you are doing. So when we don't utilize, the energy from the carbs that we take in, then it gets stored in our cells, and they can turn into fat, and more importantly, visceral fat. So that's the type of fat known to increase many health factors such as diabetes, heart disease, cancer, and many more. So we want to be aware, again, that we're taking in the amount of carbs our body needs to move throughout the day. If you want to learn more about the belly fat and what causes it and how to lose it, I did a 5-part series not too long ago in my group. So if you like that, to delve deeper into that, if you have belly fat that you want to lose, or you're finding that's when you gain weight, it always goes to the belly, then ladies, I have that for you. Just drop in the comments below belly fat, and then I will reach out to you. Okay. So any questions so far on that in regards to eating carbs and then not being able to lose that weight? Okay. So let's go in here. So when we're also eating too many carbs that are refined or processed, can lead to triggering our hunger response. Remember, we mentioned that a little bit a couple days ago in the trainings, that when we have that refined or processed carbohydrates, typically there's added sugar in them, and it's going to trigger that cravings and a hunger response for something more, because it wants to keep that dopamine happening in your brain. So you're eating more without probably realizing it, and you're going over your calorie intake needed for the date. So low on the other also macronutrients. So again, when you're eating more carbohydrates that are not as beneficial for your body, you probably are eating less of the other macronutrients, healthy fats and lean proteins. So, and that can lead again to weight gain because you're solely focusing on one macronutrient or food group. Okay, so try thinking in terms of fueling your body for the work you'll be doing. Okay, so a big thing is, how are you going to fuel your body? And being more consistent in that. So when you're fueling your body for the type of work you're doing and being mindful of the type of carbohydrates that you're taking in is going to help you in keeping your weight maintained, and or if you're in a weight loss or wanting to lose weight, it's going to help you do that as well. So carbs, trying to eat the 80-20, right? So being mindful of watching your processed carbs, and also being mindful of the type of movement you're doing every day so you can stay in that calorie deficit. So it is possible to have your carbs and lose weight. So I have a question for you, wondering, do you find it challenging to lose weight? Do you find yourself going with more processed or refined carbs, or is your first pick always the whole foods? Curious, let me know. So tomorrow we will go into our final day in this 5-part training, and we will tie it all together, how you can lose weight and eat carbs too. And I have a fun reveal for you all tomorrow. So be sure to jump back on with me tomorrow night at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for our last part in this series, plus the surprise reveal. Thanks for joining me tonight, ladies. So as always, if you have questions, drop them in the comments. I would love to hear your answers to the few questions we asked here tonight and what your biggest takeaway is. I will see you all tomorrow. Have a good evening.